Investor reporting. It's supposed to be this strategic thing, right? A chance to connect with the people who back you. But let's be real, most of the time, it's just a painful administrative slog. So what if you could completely flip that script? What if a 5-hour problem could actually become a 4-minute fix? Let's break down exactly how. Just let that sink in for a second. 5 hours. That is how long the author of our source material was spending to draft just one quarterly update for a single real estate fund. And that's the thing. 5 hours for one report. It's this incredibly important, high-stakes task that just completely eats up your week. You're trying to build this compelling, strategic story for your investors, but instead you feel like you're just drowning in busy work. And here's why it takes so long. You're dealing with what you could call a reporting triple threat. You've got the hard data from your internal Excel sheets. You've got the crucial market context that's buried somewhere in these super dense brokerage PDFs. And on top of all that, you have to nail your firm's unique voice, which means you're constantly referencing past reports. Trying to stitch all three of those together manually, that's where the hours just vanish. And this slide just perfectly captures that disconnect between the goal and the reality. The goal, the strategic work, is analyzing asset strategy and crafting a narrative. But the tedious reality? You're literally just copy-pasting from PDFs, verifying every little data point, and rewriting sentences over and over. It's the very definition of low-value work. And it's not just that it's tedious, it's actually pretty risky. One simple copy-paste mistake can throw off your data. You miss one key trend from that 50-page market report, suddenly you look totally out of touch. And if you're managing more than one fund, forget it. You can kiss an entire week goodbye just on reporting. So how do you escape this reporting quicksand? Well, the author uses this brilliant analogy. For anyone who feels like they're drowning in documents, the solution is like a life raft that you only have to inflate one time. And that life raft has a name, a Gemini gem. So what on earth is a gem? Well, think of it like this. It's a custom version of Gemini that you can train to be your own specialized intern. You give it a set of instructions and all your key documents just once, and it learns. It's ready to go whenever you need it. All right, let's get into the nuts and bolts here. We're going to walk through the playbook for building the perfect gem. Think of this as a 4-step guide to creating your new AI intern. And you know what? The process is surprisingly simple. First, you create the gem. Second, you give it a really clear handbook of instructions, and we'll talk more about that. Third, you upload its knowledge, which is the really crucial part. And then finally, you just run the process. You feed it the new data and tell it to get to work. Okay, let's zoom in on step 2 because this is absolutely critical. Your instructions have to be super specific. You basically define its entire personality. You tell it, you are an expert investor relations associate. You set the tone, professional, objective, institutional, and you give it hard and fast rules, like never hallucinate numbers, and if you cite market data, you must reference the source PDF. This isn't a suggestion box, it's a rule book. The more precise you are, the better your results will be. And now for my favorite part, step 3. This is the secret sauce. This is where the real magic happens. Instead of trying to describe your writing style, you just give it a style guide, which is literally just a single PDF of your last 3 quarterly reports. It learns by seeing your past work. You also give it a simple text file that explains who your investors are so it knows its audience. Okay, so you've built your AI intern, you've trained it, but the big question is, does it actually work? Let's take a look at the payoff with a real-world example. So here's the test. A classic reporting headache, right? You have to explain a negative metric. In this case, the author needed to explain why portfolio vacancy went up by 2%. This is the kind of thing that would normally send a person scrambling for hours, digging through reports to find a good explanation. And look at this. This is the draft the gem produced. It is flawless. Notice how it seamlessly blends the internal data, the vacancy ticked up to 7%, with the external market context it pulled straight from that PDF. This aligns with broader market trends. And the cherry on top, it even provided a direct source citation. Just perfect. So let's just pause and really look at this comparison. A task that would have taken hours of painful research and writing was done in 4 minutes. That's less time than it takes to make a cup of coffee. The difference is just staggering. And this wasn't just a one-time thing. The author found that, across the entire reporting process, using this gem led to a 90% reduction in drafting time.
90%. It's a total game changer.
So you're probably thinking, okay, I'm sold, but how do I make sure I get results this good every single time? Well, thankfully, the source gives us 3 golden rules to follow. First, use what are called negative constraints. It's often more powerful to tell the AI what not to do. For example, do not use flowery adjectives. Second, use the few shot method. Remember, show, don't just tell. Uploading those past reports as examples is way more effective than describing them. And third, and this is a big one, always require source citations. It just makes it incredibly easy for you to verify everything.
Okay, let's zoom out for a second, because this is about way more than just saving a few hours on an annoying task. A tool like this fundamentally changes your role at work. It's about a shift from being a writer to becoming an editor.
And this slide just nails it. In the old way, you were the writer, stuck in the weeds, copy-pasting data, verifying numbers. In this new way, you become the editor. The AI does all that grunt work, which frees you up to focus on what really matters, checking the high-level strategy, refining the core message, and actually analyzing the performance. And this quote is the whole point. This is the ultimate payoff. You get your brain back. You stop wasting all that cognitive energy on manual labor, and you start spending your time analyzing if the strategy behind all those numbers is actually working. That's where you create real value. So we'll end with this thought. The tools to automate the most draining parts of our jobs are not science fiction anymore. They are here right now. That administrative burden is lifting. So the real question isn't if you'll save the time, but what will you actually do with all those hours you get back?